Character development is a process that implies multiple stages from making the concept to animation. This process has become easier over the years as the quality of details that character artists can show on their characters has become significantly higher. The first stage is going to be character design or concept art. The character designer or the concept artist is usually the first person on the production to begin visualizing the characters from the description given to them for a given story. They create new and original characters for a pose, and it can be based on the script or the story. After they understand the script and how the story influences characters, the next step for the character designer is to thoroughly research any anatomical, costume, historical, style, or theatrical references needed to create the character for the project. The next step is drawing and creating sketches and concepts for the characters. Depending on the whim of the art director and the timeline for the project, anywhere from 5 to hundreds of versions of a single character can be created. The purpose behind this is not to settle for the first few versions, but to create new and more features that the modeling team can choose from later on. Showing a character personality through poses and facial expressions is important even in these early stages. An important part of the character designer's job is to bring something more than just visual design to the characters he or she is creating, but they begin to bring personality and a sense of being alive to these characters. Stage number 2 is modeling and sculpting. Usually character artists depend on a 3D sculpting software such as ZBrush to create the basic mesh because it is fast and easy to create and gives creative freedom. Then they will add more details as they spend more time on it. After character sculpting is over, the model will be taken to a standard 3D software such as Maya, 3ds Max, or Blender for retopology, which is the process of creating a less polygon-dense character model. Character artists can create their models in the standard 3D software from the start without having to do sculpting, but as I said before, there are certain restrictions that cannot be avoided unless you use a sculpting software. Stage number 3 is UV unwrapping. UV mapping or UV unwrapping is the process of turning the surface of a 3D character or model into a 2D flat surface, then it can be used for generating maps and textures later. This process is harder when it comes to characters, and you need to be good at it because characters' skin and clothes are going to be moving a lot, and this might cause some technical problems, and that will be dealt with later in the rigging and animation. Stage number 4 is going to be texturing. Once everything has been UV mapped, it is okay now to move on to the next section of the modeling pipeline, which is going to be texturing. To texture, a character artist will use specific softwares such as Substance Painter, Quixel Suite, and Mari, just to name a few. These programs can do a great job and give quick results. These programs use physically based rendering, and that form of rendering is a common practice in animation studios and, more importantly, game studios. In physically based rendering, the lighting is affected by the normals that are created by the 3D model, and they help create a more detailed and realistic model. Stage number 5 is rigging. Rigging is the process of creating a skeleton of your model by creating joints that will enable you to move it. Depending on the 3D package that you choose from 3ds Max, Maya, or Blender, you will be able to define whether an already made skeleton body should be picked or manually generated by an artist. This tool allows you to fit the mesh the best. However, this requires plenty of time to build an entire skeleton made of separate bones, let alone creating bones particles from scratch. Usually it requires having from 15 to 100 bones, depending on its complexity, to successfully move the character. That is why some tools allow for scaling, moving, and turning a certain group of bones to make the process smoother. Finally, stage 6, animation. Animation is always done after rigging has been completed. Engine physics will use the rig if you animate a specific point. The rest of the structure will follow so that you are not animating just a single vert. There are many techniques of animation that animators will use depending on the result they want to get or the type of animation needed. There is keyframe animation, driven key animation, nonlinear animation, path animation, and motion capture, which is basically capturing the data from real actors' suits and tweaking it in the computer to get better results. I hope this was useful and helped you understand the process of creating animated characters that you see in movies and video games. Also, you can share with us your thoughts on the comment section below, and you can check some of our previous videos Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.